Man, so how many weeks we have left in this year? What's today? The first week of November? I lose track of time. Don't think I'm senile or anything. I just I don't wear a watch, and I just work whenever I want to work. I have this commitment in my life now, but other than that, I don't usually make any appointments, and I tell people an hour before the meeting that there's going to be a meeting, or or it doesn't even matter what day it is or what time it is. So, sorry, it's the first week of November? Is that what we just said?
Yes.
Okay, so we got a good 7 weeks left.
So does that mean I should keep my cell phone on 24 hours?
Well, I'm real lucid in the morning. I mean, you might get some good golden nuggets if I start texting people. I'm in the middle right now of selling 3 apartment complexes, buying a 152-unit deal, buying a 78 house package, and if all goes well, I'll be able to collect around $1.5 million cash. So that was my first thing. I actually put $1.75 million. And if I really build a senior deal or start building, I've been working with someone for 2 or 3 months. The thing about the senior deal is someone's got to have to sign on $15 million of debt and be responsible for that. So that's just.
What do you mean, senior living?
It's 55 and older housing.
Oh, okay.
All right. I think there's a huge market here for it. I think it's sexy. It's such an easy sell to get up in front of a group of people and say, I have this experience and this is what I want to do. And I mean, who would argue against you that we don't need a community senior housing that can rent for $700 or $800 a month. No kids allowed. Nice family center on the first floor in the living room. You bring in an outside company that has nothing but events for older people. So I'm working on it, and the person I'm working with, he just completed his 3rd, and he's at a point right now where he's either going to have to go back to corporate America and do it for corporate America, and then he'll have golden handcuffs that he can't break away and do it independently. Or it's time for me to flip some properties and do 1031 into 1 or 2 of his buildings. I am so ready to commit financially, down payment, but $10 to $15 million of debt. What if something goes drastically wrong in the world? And the only thing is, with this kind of deal, you take down the land, and then it takes like 6 months to get the clearance. And then once you get the clearance, you then have to start tapping into your construction loan. And sometimes construction loans are pulled. So, I don't know, it takes...
You're talking about building?
Building, yeah, building.
Rather than converting an existing building?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that's not a good business model. I saw someone do that last year and got really hurt. I don't want to scare anybody.
Because? Government regulation?
Well, 2 things. They definitely bought in like a CD area, and there was a tax credit deal. Everyone familiar with tax credit deals? So there was a tax credit deal literally across the street. So they were already getting a huge discount to live there. And tax credit deals are good and bad. I don't want to have a C-class building next to a brand new tax credit deal, right? We all get that?
Yes.
So that's what happened there. And the second thing was, it turned out that this person, the wiring in the building was aluminum. And when we buy apartment buildings, they're either aluminum or they're copper.
Yeah.
We talk more about it in depth another time, but when they're aluminum, it's not really a good candidate for a senior deal. Right? It's a huge liability. And then you got to change out all the wires.
Oh.
So he's actually suing Marcus and Millichap for misrepresenting. Wasn't a student of mine at all, but I can tell you why it's so important to network. Because there was this one property manager that I really liked in town, and she ended up working for him. And she called me up one day. I'll never forget this, actually. My dad he had a heart attack. I flew to Florida, took care of him for 2 weeks. And sitting there in the hospital, and I saw her phone call come in. He's fine. Saw the phone call come in, and she's like, so I'm working at this building, and the guy's converting it into a senior deal, and he just found out there's aluminum wire, and he's really scared. He has this huge liability for the current tenants. He wants to get rid of all tenants. So I'm like, really? So I just bought I bought a building, and I started with 0 vacancy, right? So I had to bring it up to 150 units. And I think I got it at, like, I did 25 or 50, and she calls up. She's like, can you place all these people? And I'm like, Dad, hold on a second. He's like sitting there with a heart attack. He's better now. He had the surgery, so I was like, you know. Nurse, watch my dad. But it was like a gift from God. Here I am, the good son. I fly down to Florida to take care of my son, my father, and of course my 3 sisters weren't there. So I don't know how that happened, but I'm sure we have stories we can talk about later about stuff like that. Family politics. So that week, I sent out a flyer to the building, and there was going to be a bus tour where we were going to have IHOP over at their new home. So we picked them up in a bus. We had IHOP waiting for them, and we took all 25. So within the following few weeks, talking about a blessing, to find 25 units of people and move them from. So that's the long story about the senior deal and trying to convert. It's just not easy. It's a great idea. It's really a great idea, and this was really situated because you'll find in a senior deal, garden style housing works best. So this particular complex was all. I mean. It was almost like a sleepaway camp. There were like all these cabins all over the place, instead of like 2 stories, because you're going to need an elevator for older people, right?
I missed your point. You said that somebody else bought that and realized
and he got hurt.
Aluminum.
So he realized they were aluminum. Then he moves out all the people, and now he's got no cash flow, and that wasn't part of his business plan. He thought he was going to have cash flow from day one. So now he's got there a vacant building, and he should have hired me as a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out that he hired a construction team. They all ripped him off. I don't know why they started pouring asphalt first. I didn't know what to do. It was like too late to call me in. He called me in for help. It was just too late. So he just cut his losses like $800,000 into the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I missed the point. How does that connect to the 25 tenants?
So this particular, we were talking about senior housing and building. And Jose asked me about maybe, have you ever thought about converting a C-class building into senior housing?
Okay.
And I think it's too much work, honestly. I just think you're competing against new product, and you really, a lot of these C-class buildings, there's only so much you can do. Like we bought something on 34th Street, and we had these big ideas. Because there's like $500,000, $1 million houses all over the place. So we're like, yeah, man, we can really turn this place into a B or an A. And it was clearly like a D. And as soon as we got in there, it turned out like, well, if you wanted to move the toilet the thing that holds the toilet paper, then all the tile would fall down. And then if all the tile would fall down, then you'd have to put in like a whole brand new backsplash on it. I mean, it was just like it was like unraveling like a mummy. So he said, you know what? What's wrong with a D? So you just have to be careful. You definitely can convert. We talked about converting deals from a C to a B, but converting a senior deal is, there's a lot of things that have to be done to bring in senior people. That's all. So that's really it. I'll tell you what. I'm going to open it up to you folks, but before we do that, let's next time, everybody bring a deal. We can talk about it. If anyone has like a real red hot situation, let's really start talking about it. Can you get on the forum for just 1 minute? Because we really do have to streamline this. So if we can start working off of this expensive software that Amir talked me into buying. um, I'm just going to run to the bathroom for a second, Amir, but can you start doing the... Do you need my computer? Do you have it? Are you going to be able to stream right to that?
Yeah, I'll stream right to it.
Okay.
Let me shut off your mic so.